welcome to Jon the Wireless Guy. Today we are going over the Moto Edge 5G 2022 version. But before we do, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe for all the things that we have coming to the channel. All right, so in this phone here, we've actually talked about the 2021, and a lot of you love that phone. You love the tips and tricks. You love what it can do. Many questions about it. By far, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, the most watched videos that we have is on this particular phone. So you love this line. I wonder, what is it? What do you love about it? Is it the cost factor, that it's not a $1,000 phone, yet it specs with those $1,000 phones? This one right here, I believe, is around $600, similar to the 2021 version. We're gonna talk about the specs. This is an unboxing and review in terms of specs. So in the box, right, we've got the phone, we've got the box, different color than before. This particular phone is mineral gray and it's 256 gig. Depending on your carrier, it could come in 128 or 256. Eco-friendly packaging, you'll see that there. And we do have a cable, which is going to be a Type C to C. Feels very empty, thinking there's no charging brick, and there's not. So really wanted to see that charging brick from Motorola, but alas, we do not have that. I mean, granted, at least they're still giving us a cable, right? So when we take this wrapping off, looks very similar. Actually, it looks similar to the Moto Edge Plus in terms of the back. The Moto Edge camera lenses were kind of squared off, at least the piece here that goes around the lenses. And this phone is a tad bit smaller than your previous version Edge. Right away we see on the back, it says 50 megapixel. We know that the previous version of this had 108. We'll get into the specs a little bit. Seems to fingerprint relatively easy on the back. That mineral gray color, which is pretty cool. That blue color they had previously was nice as well. Your Type C for charging, your SIM card slot, and I don't believe this has the availability to add an SD card to create more storage, but we'll see when we go into the specs of the phone. Feels really good, feels really light. We'll have to see in the specs if it has wireless charging. I actually believe it does. Ding ding, thank you Motorola for putting wireless charging into this phone. I had not a client of mine personally, but another client that was dealing with another rep. They bought the Edge and returned it because it did not have wireless charging, 2021 version. So I'm glad to see this one does. So kudos to you, Motorola, for that. It feels really good in the hand. It's not too thick. You put a case on it, of course, it'll thicken up a little bit depending on the case that you do. So let's go ahead and open up this phone and get into it. So actually into the phone, you'll see pretty standard, right? You have your regular apps there. When we scroll up, you see all the different apps that it comes with. You have your circle, your square, your triangle. It's possible when you go into settings, you can actually adjust that through the display. When you're first setting it up, you'll see it here. So system navigation, if you did want the gesture, you could do that, and now you'll see that bar at the bottom, or you can put it back on how it came with the 3 button. Interesting, the Moto Edge 2021 came with the gesture navigation. A lot of folks didn't like that, so did a video on how to get that back. That's basically how you would get into it if you wanted it, unless this does a software update and it ends up going into that. There is an accessibility feature, and I'm curious because on the previous model we had to go in to turn that off. You'll see it here, talkback shortcut. I recommend to turn that off because it does get hit inadvertently, and basically the phone talks back to you. We did a video on that as well and how to turn that off. Of course, you have the 3 lenses in the back, 50 megapixel camera, You've got your power button, volume up and down. Got your Type-C, your SIM card. No buttons on the left side. You have different settings here that you can adjust. It does have the ready for connecting and mirroring off your phone. Of course, when you hard press into an empty screen, you have different options here where you can home, settings, widgets, wallpapers, and personalize. So you can actually do a theme, font, do different colors. Of course, with Android, they're very open source, so you can actually go to the Play Store and download different launchers and all sorts of things with it. Let's look at the specs. So in comparison, this is the Moto Edge 2022, looking at the Moto Edge 2021. The 2022 version, this one here is 6.6 inches diagonal versus 6.8. Display resolution 1080 by 2400 versus 1080 by 2460. Both have a display refresh rate of 144, that's very good. Both the same battery, very good. 2.5 gigahertz MediaTek, so it's a different processor. Qualcomm Snapdragon is quite the most used one that we see. RAM, you have 8 gigs in the Moto Edge 2022 versus in the 2021 6 gigs, so that's really good. Main camera, that's interesting that they went down to 50 megapixels versus 108. That was a big selling point for the Moto Edge 2021. Right there, that Moto Edge 2021 was really spec'd higher in some cases than the S22 and even the S22 Ultra, 21 and 22 Ultra. Of course, half the price. So really sad to see that this version is smaller in the megapixels for the main camera. Better in the wide camera, 13 versus 8, and nothing with telephoto. Both 4K, front camera 32 on both. 6 ounces on this one. This one does weigh less. Dimension 6.33 versus 2.92 versus 6.65, 299. So basically 6.6 versus 6.8. Obviously Android. Barometer, yes. Fingerprint reader, yes. This one is actually in the display, which is nice. The previous version had it on the power button, and what we saw was, depending on the case you would get, it would be a little strange to get your thumb in there. I mean, yes, you could use other fingers, but normally this is going to be where you would use your thumb for the fingerprint to unlock, and the case kind of obstructed and how they designed that. So glad to see it's in the screen. Hearing aid compatible, yes. Water resistant, both the same. IPX2 drip. Flashlight, yes. And let's see if it still has. There it is. So it does still have that, and if I can do it in this little light box here, or I can twist it. Yes, so it does still have the camera feature. So when you twist, it'll go actually onto the camera. And then if you do it again, it goes into selfie. So that is good to see. They still have those little tips. Bluetooth, yes. NFC, yes. USB, yes. Type-C. Wi-Fi, yes. Side keys, yes. Touchscreen, yes. Stereo speakers, yes, in this one versus no in the 2021. Mirrorcast, yes, in this one versus 2021, no. Fast charging, yes, and yes, it does have wireless charging. Outstanding. Thank you, Motorola, for that. So what do you think so far in looking at this phone compared to previous Motorola versions? Is the camera megapixels a make or break for you? Would you rather go with the 2021 version for that? What are you thinking with this phone? Price-wise, again, going to be very similar. It is a little bit smaller, which, you know, folks do generally like a smaller phone, although you can adjust the font on it. You know, the old adage is you get a bigger phone so you can see it.
you get a smaller phone, you can't see it as much, and there's definitely some truth to that. You can adjust the display with your font to make it a little bit bigger. So what do you think of this? Go ahead and put it down in the comments. As always, like, share, subscribe. We have all the links to our social media sites that we are on in our comments section under our video. Let us know what you think, and as always, make it a great day.